G'day, I'm Adam Collings, coming to you on location from Adelaide. Welcome to Stories. Today I'm talking about the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor. Now normally I don't do spoilers, but in this case, anyone who's even remotely interested is likely to have seen it. So I'm going to go into details. If you haven't seen Day of the Doctor, stop now and go and watch it. Seriously. Now I came into this episode with some pretty high expectations. The 50th anniversary of one of your favourite shows is a big deal. I didn't envy Steven Moffat trying to come up with a script that could possibly do the event justice. I think he did a great job. The episode honours the past, but ultimately it's about the future. I think that's what it needed to be. I love the way it opened with the classic titles from the William Hartnell era, and all the Easter eggs, like the Foreman scrapyard and the name I. Chesterton on the school sign. I'm sure there were lots more that went over the top of my head. The story itself was fitting for the occasion. By telling the story of the Time War, this has effectively bridged the gap between the classic era of Doctor Who and the modern era. It's explained all the events that made the Doctor the person he's been ever since Christopher Eccleston took on the role. In a sense, this was the War Doctor's story. The 10th and 11th Doctors were there to help him make his decision. The dilemma faced by UNIT nicely tied in thematically with the Doctor's own struggle. For the last 7 seasons, the Time War and the destruction of Gallifrey have been something that has defined the character. As 11 says, "You were the Doctor on the day it was impossible to get it right." When the 10th and 11th Doctors arrive to help the War Doctor push the button so he doesn't have to face that moment alone, it's very moving. And yet we feel Clara's discomfort. The Doctor never betrays his promise. He always finds another way. This story does what I think some of the best Doctor Who stories do. It says, alright, this is it. There is no hope. We're going to have to live with it. As viewers, we come to accept this. And then sometimes the Doctor gets this gleam in his eye. And he says, actually, there is another way. And so, Steven Moffat does the unthinkable. He rewrites this iconic moment in the history of our show. All of this was nicely foreshadowed. The idea of using the Gallifreyan paintings as a solution to the problem, and the idea of using the sonic screwdrivers, putting it to work over centuries, nicely foreshadows the way that they finally implement the plan. This now is when it really starts to feel like a 50th anniversary special, when the Doctor says, I've been working on this for a long time, all of my lives, and then all of the classic Doctors appear in their TARDISes to help. And then the surprise appearance of Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor. That was so fitting. A Time Lord has 13 lives, and all of them were there, including the future one, helping to save Gallifrey. Seriously, this is awesome! One of Steven Moffat's strengths as a writer is taking serious issues of a dark nature and melding them seamlessly with great moments of humour. I honestly don't know how he does it, but it's brilliant. This episode had some really hilarious moments. As usual, they came from the dialogue, specifically the Doctor's dialogue. The chemistry between the 10th and 11th Doctors was predictably brilliant, and the War Doctor fit in nicely with them as well. The way these 3 guys mock each other in a friendly kind of way is absurdly fun, given that they're all the same person. The appearance of Tom Baker at the end was a wonderful touch. Given the age of the classic Doctor actors, it would have been difficult for them to make a believable appearance. However, by having Tom Baker play a future regeneration of the Doctor who's revisiting a favourite old face, Moffat found a way to make it work. As promised, this episode changes everything for the Doctor. No longer is he just wandering around the galaxy looking for a bit of fun. Finally, after all this time, after all these lives, he has a mission, he has a goal, and he seems delighted about it. Let's not forget though just how dangerous the Time Lords have become. In his final adventure, the 10th Doctor was horrified at the thought of Gallifrey being released from the Time Lock. If the Doctor does manage to recover the planet from the painting, he's going to have a hard job ahead of him, trying to help his people come back to a better way of life. But with all his past experiences, he may just be up to the task. This episode helped me to celebrate the past, but it also made me excited about the future. I'm looking forward to seeing where all this is going. Bring on the Christmas special. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find lots of ways on the About page of my blog, including my monthly email newsletter. Catch you next time!